On one side of this battlefield are 300 American soldiers, and on the other side we have 300 Russian soldiers. The question is, who would win if these two armies went head to head in an epic battle? I'm talking about no strategies, no planning nor plotting, just an all-out brawl. But first, let's get the rules out of the way. On separate sides of the battlefield are flags, one belonging to the US Army and the other belonging to the Russian Army. If anyone from an opposing team manages to get a soldier across the map and lowers their enemy's flag, their team would automatically win. Also, if one team manages to wipe out all the soldiers from the other team, then they would automatically win. I mean, I don't know if you need to say they would automatically win there. That's technically what winning is, if you defeat all the enemies. So let's not spend a second more debating. Let the battle begin. And here we go, the American troops are running straight into battle. I mean, look at these guys, they look unstoppable. But the Russians are not playing around. I mean, look at these guys, they are ready for war. Now, I don't know who's gonna win this battle, but if I saw these guys heading towards me,
I would honestly my goddamn pants if I'm telling you the truth.
And here we go with everyone on the battlefield. The shooting has begun. Bullets are flying in all directions. Anyone in the front line is pretty much dead or dying or done. The front lines is not somewhere you'd want to be in this battle. Everyone seems to be getting as much shots off as they can, and bodies are falling in droves. Look at this. I can't tell you if it looks downright sad or downright epic. These guys are just going crazy, and anyone who dares to try to get across the line is immediately eradicated. I mean, could you listen to this? I can hardly hear myself think due to the fact that bullets are just firing rapidly. I mean, these guys are trying to find cover wherever they can. Some of them are hiding behind a plane. Some of them are even climbing on top of a plane. I don't know. I don't see how that makes sense, but I'm gonna leave it to you, brother. But this is just going crazy. And at this point, the American soldiers seems to have halted the Russians in their tracks, but the Russians have also put a stop to any movement from the American soldiers. Pretty much anyone who tries to cross this battlefield dies immediately. Now at this point, the American soldiers were in the lead with the most kills, but most of the Russian soldiers decided to stay back and fire from their trenches, which provided much better cover, and slowly the American troops started advancing. But their quick advancement on the Russians cost them a lot of their troops, which shifted the tides of the battle because now the Russians were in lead with the most kills. It's safe to say at this point things were not looking good for the American troops. For every inch they moved closer towards the Russians, a lot more of their soldiers were dying. But on the flip side, the Russian soldiers were now stuck in their dugouts, and any of their soldiers who attempted to leave would be immediately liquidated. But man, I gotta say, this battlefield is just looking epic. I mean, look at this. Yo, you can't tell me this isn't like you're watching a movie right now, man. Let's do a bet. My bet is that even though the American troops are advancing on the Russians, I think the Russians are gonna win. I mean, they seem to be playing it smart, holding it down at the trenches and allowing the Americans to get closer to them, and the closer they get, the more of them they can actually kill. So as of right now, my money is on the Russians, and if I win, you gotta subscribe. But if I lose, you don't owe me nothing. And the battle raged on like this for a long while, but eventually the American troops started getting closer and closer to getting inside the Russian trenches. And it wasn't long before one American soldier made the daring attempt. I mean, look at this guy go. I don't know if I should be impressed or just confused from his lack of a survival instinct, but this guy did make it inside the Russian trenches. And even though he died immediately, he gave the American soldiers hope. And one by one, they started getting closer and closer, each one after the other, managing to spend a little bit longer longer in the trenches before he dies. And after a few more failed attempts, the Americans did make it inside the Russian trenches, surprisingly killing all of them. And so they crossed the trenches and ran over to the Russian flag. This battle started with 300 soldiers from each team, and as of right now, only around 30 American soldiers were left. But in the end, they did claim victory and raised their flag high. Surprisingly, I lost the bet. The Americans did manage to win this one. But come on, man, your boy still deserves a subscription, right? I mean, that was some cool shots, I gotta admit. It's like my grandmother loves to say. Yeah, she loves to say nothing because she's dead now. Rest in peace, Grandma. Subscribe!